Crop News brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. The Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Rod, thanks for joining us this morning. ECP program, even though we're past the date to sign up, what was kind of the thought process that went into that program?
All right, well, thanks for having me, Brian. ECP stands for the Emergency Conservation Program. This program, enacted by Congress, provides assistance to producers to help recover their operations, their farming operations, after a disaster event. Greensboro tornado was one event. This summer we had a significant drought that's been impacting quite a significant area of the entire country. In Kansas, we requested assistance through the Emergency Conservation Program to implement some drought measures. Drought measures, particularly, Brian, provide assistance for emergency water for livestock purposes. So with the drought, water disappearing in the ponds, water levels lowering in wells, springs going dry, that presents a problem for producers who are out there grazing. And that's what we're trying to help provide assistance to livestock producers who are out there in a grazing situation, a grazing pasture, grazing whatever, and then to look at whatever the most economical means is to provide emergency water so that the water can be replaced. In other words, they can continue to graze.
Now, during the summer, we had CRP land that came out for grazing opportunities, had to apply for that opportunity. Pretty good participation in that program, right?
Yeah, we did. We just did some summary data on that, Brian, and what we're seeing is that statewide in Kansas, there's about 2.7 million acres enrolled in the program, and we had just over 500,000 acres that were utilized under emergency haying and grazing and the other management practices. So, I think one of the most important things to remember here, Brian, is that CRP is a public program. And when we have an event such as we had here, we have part of the public that's suffering. We have an extreme shortage of forage in this state and in this nation. And when we have available forage in this program, then we need to take the steps necessary to make it available. That is a partnering effort. It's a partnering effort amongst all of us to make it work. And by doing so, then we believe that it also allows our landowners and our producers to be interested in keeping this land enrolled in the program, to protect it, to provide wildlife cover, or protect water quality by providing assistance when there is drought, when there's shortage, when we have available forage in this public program. Making it available is a partnering effort between all of us.
And there were still some requirements that the producers had to meet to maintain a certain height growth on that grass. Why don't you tell us about that?
Sure. Well, if you're either haying or you're grazing, you got to maintain a certain height. After all, it is a conservation program. We are concerned about the cover, and we're concerned about that cover being protected over the long term, but also the availability to harvest those forages. So grazing height, grazing, don't graze below, I think it's 5 inches, and the same way with haying, 4 inches, so that we protect that. In some areas of the state, Brian, and in a lot of areas of the state, we got really great cover. It's very growthy. Some areas of the state we have very vulnerable soils and very susceptible to wind and other types of erosion. So we need to keep that in mind, the long-term productivity as well.
Well, somewhere down the line, and hopefully it doesn't happen again this year, but we seem to be in a drought cycle. This is on a year-by-year basis, case-by-case. Is that kind of what I'm hearing?
Well, there's two aspects to it. One is under the managed practices under CRP, we do encourage either haying or grazing on a rotational basis every 3rd year. Under emergency is case-by-case, year-by-year. So we had a drought this year, extremely dry. It implemented the emergency aspect of making these forages available. Next summer, we'll have to wait and see. Certainly manage is there. It's encouraged on a rotational basis. Emergency on a much wider scale, widespread. We'll have to see if the drought continues. So far it has, so it looks like we continue to be dry at this point. If that continues through into the summer season, we may have it again. We'll just have to wait and see.
And real quick, we've got about 30 seconds here, a website people can go and kind of keep up to date on some of the things you guys have going on.
Yeah, FSA has public websites that you can go to. Our Kansas website, you should be able to access it.